Listen in to AM radio. The firsts, the famous, the year 1920. The 920th year of the second millennium, 20th century, 1920 saw ragtime and the Lindy Hop dance, an early jitterbug, the little black dress, home phones, and an age of frozen foods. Potter Palm radio shows, amateur singers and bands, jazz from the New York and Chicago stations. Everyone wanted to listen in. During the 1920s, amateur stations became licensed. XWA became CFCF. Radio in North America reached from coast to coast. They gained larger audiences through affiliation, resulting in the first commercial networks. Radio was in demand. The silent romantic drama Way Down East was the highest-grossing movie. Al Jolson had the #1 song of the year with Swanee, and the Group of Seven held their first exhibit. The NHL records for the most combined goals scored in a single game was broken during a Montreal and Toronto match with a total of 21, Joe Malone's unbeaten 7, and 16 scored by the Montreal Canadiens. It is said that the Red Sox curse of the Bambino was started when Babe Ruth was traded to the Yankees. The Yankees just missed the series, but the year produced a trade and began their dynasty. Ladies' Day existed since the late 1800s to promote the game to women. The marketing campaigns of the 1920s and 30s established a large fan base. Lyrics for Take Me Out to the Ball Game were written by Jack Norworth as he reflected on taking out his girl, a Miss Trixie Frigunza, a famous vaudeville actress and suffrage supporter. He wrote it on an envelope as he rode the subway in New York City, after seeing a sign advertising Baseball Today. His friend Alfred von Lilzer provided the song's music composition.
Take Me Out to the Ball Game, sung by Edward Meeker, Edison Record. Katie Casey was baseball mad, had the fever and had it bad, just to root for the hometown crew every Sue. Katie Blue. On a Saturday, her young beau called to see if she'd like to go to see a show, but Miss Kate said no. I'll tell you what you can do. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Katie Casey saw all the games, knew the players by their first names, told the umpire he was wrong all along, good and strong. When the score was just 2-2, Katie Casey knew what to do. Just to cheer up the boys she knew, she made the gang sing this song. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
On October the 12th, 1920, George Carpenter knocked out the battling Lewinsky for the World Light Heavyweight Championship title. Carpenter's next match in 1921 was the first $1 million match with Colorado miner turned pro boxer Jack Dempsey for the World Heavyweight title. First International Fisherman's Cup was won by Gloucester's Esperanto in 2 races over the Delwana of Nova Scotia. The Bluenose, Queen of the Atlantic, was built for the second race. In the America's Cup yacht race, the New York Club retained the title over the Royal Ulster Club when the Resolute defeated the Shamrock Four for the Old Mug. First Trans-Canada airmail delivery, October 7th through 17th, the year 1920. All provinces and cities they were scheduled to stop at had been invited to send letters of greeting to each other. They were sent by regular mail to Halifax, where they were put in a bag and carried on the flight for delivery along the route. It took 5 pilots, 6 planes, a number of delays, over 11 days. Airmail delivery would grow as aviation companies established regular routes, but it would take until 1939 to establish scheduled Trans-Canada service. The 1938 6-cent airmail stamp, Scott number C6, depicts the Mackenzie River in the Northwest Territories. The SS distributor is on the river as an airboat flies overhead, representing the old and new method of mail transportation. The famous Einstein, Capone, Picasso, Lindenberg. Celebrity characterization by Leslie Ward for Vanity Fair magazine of Guillermo Marconi. Coco Chanel, a 1920 design she called the Little Black Dress, and a new perfume, Chanel No. 5, to launch in 1921. Born in Toronto, Gladys Smith became professionally known as Mary Pickford, America's sweetheart. She was one of the most popular female actresses, starred in the film Suds in 1920, was a founder of the United Artists Studio with Fairbanks, Chaplin, and Griffith, and one of the 36 who formed the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, presenters of the Oscars. Mark Sennett, known as the King of Comedy, was born in Richmond, Quebec. He started his career acting, singing, dancing, and clowning around in New York City, acting in many silent film slapstick comedies between 1912 and 1917. He opened the Keystone Studios in Edendale, California, where he produced over 1,000 silent movies and the first talkie short film. The studio also featured the first enclosed filming stage, where they produced the Keystone Cops series and the popular Sennett's Bathing Beauties. Helen Foster Borum, from Victoria, British Columbia, took the professional name of Nell Shipman in 1905 when she joined the Paul Gilmore Traveling Theatrical Company. She was an avid professional writer, founder of 2 independent film companies, and produced the most successful Canadian silent movie, Back to God's Country, filmed at Slave Lake in Alberta in 1919. The Maritime Motion Picture Company opened in 1920 in Sydney, Nova Scotia, under management of Wallace MacDonald. Their 1921 work was a travelogue called A 10 Days Trip Through New Brunswick. The first feature film release was called Big Timber, and later re-released as Clansmen of the North. It featured Richard Travers and a supporting cast of manly local men as the Lumberjacks. Jack Warner was born in London, Ontario. The family moved to the United States, where he would form a partnership with his brothers Sam and Harry, establishing the Warner Brothers Film Production in 1910. In 1923, they had great success with Rin Tin Tin. They produced talkie shorts by 25 and a full-length feature with the jazz singer in 1927. They would produce remembered film classics such as Casablanca, My Fair Lady, and Bugs Bunny. The firsts, the famous, the movies. Gene Lockhart from London, Ontario, became well known for his stage and Broadway career, and one of the early teachers at the Institute of Music Arts, established in 1905 to create a premier facility in the U.S. In 1920, the Juilliard Foundation was created, and the New York City School was named after merchant Augustus Juilliard, who donated generously to music advancement. World-famous entertainment venues such as 39th and Broadway, international touring performances, the first music recording artists, the first global entertainment celebrities, movie pictures, and radio broadcasting in 1920 opened career opportunities for young artists. In 1919, Ruby Mae Gordon, from Ontario, Canada, moved to New York. She would work 9 seasons as Jeannie Gordon with the Met, debut a number of new operas, as well as classics such as Carmen. His master's voice nipper trademark continued to be used in the U.S. after the family company was purchased by RCA. It was also retained by Herbert Berlander, who had branched off to establish Compo Company Limited, the first independent Canadian record pressing company. Sun Label operated in Toronto and Apex in Montreal. Purchased by Decca in 1951, the labels were used until the 1980s. Barron's original painting was retained by EMI, who used the iconic image for their award show statuette. Canadian Harry Haley McClaskey, most known by his stage name Henry Burr, was born in St. Stephen, New Brunswick. Early pioneering efforts had created the recording industry. By 1910, Burr had sold millions of copies, hits such as the 1905 In the Shade of the Old Apple Tree and the 1920 Let the Rest of the World Go By. Bell instruments date from the Bronze Age, modern chimes in 1487, to Homer's 1887 8 bells, depicting a ship's watch schedule. The 130-year-old City Hall in Halifax, Nova Scotia, is undergoing renovations, and when completed, 2 historical bells will chime for the first time since the Halifax explosion over 100 years ago. Robert Burns, known for documenting folk songs, preserved the well-known Auld Lang Syne in his 1788 poem. He adapted lyrics to a traditional folk melody that was sung at the conclusion of Hogmanay, a Scottish New Year's gathering. The first New Year's Eve radio broadcast was aired by Professor Reginald Fessenden, who announced the arrival of the new year at 12 a.m. Eastern on January 1st, 1907. In 1929, the first U.S. national New Year's Eve radio broadcast featured Guy Lombardo and his Royal Canadians, performing their signature closing piece, Burns's Auld Lang Syne.